right, then to pick this up from the bottom of page 76, what they tell you is what I've mentioned to you before. We made a copy, all right, as it says. Now any changes you make, if you made that the default by clicking on it and changing the white star to an orange star, and then the current orange star, which said Pro Star, that one became white. All right, now everything you're working on, you're working with a copy. Okay. All right, now on this, the next thing they have you do in here is they have you create an image. Now I do want to mention, if you don't want to do this now, it's fine. I'm not going to. All right, but as it says, he uses Photoshop, and we don't have Photoshop here. All right. Now he also mentions as you go on. So that's kind of what he makes. Just a couple rectangles. I don't think they're rectangles. They look like more like polygons to me. But either way. And then he's got the word Corba in here. All right. He goes through the steps and what you can do with that. And I'm going to give you some time to work on that. But then he also mentions, I'm just jumping ahead a little bit here. All right. So this is on the bottom of page 80. That if you don't want to use that, he says, you can use Paint.net and GIMP, which are free. All right. Never hurts to have something like that under your belt, so that's what I'm going to try to do. When I did it the first time, I literally used Paint, and it looked like I used Paint. All right, it looked really amateurish, and I could go in there, and I couldn't do a lot of work. After I put Corba in there, I couldn't do a lot of work with it because it was basically, it was saved as I tried it as a bitmap, I tried it as a ping, etc. I couldn't do much with it. So I recommend you don't do that. But if you care, because if you want Paint.net, it's at www.getpaint.net, and you should be able to load it on your machine if you want to do so. There's the download link. And the GIMP is just gimp.org. And if you say that's just too much, then just create something simple. Don't even, for the logo, just have writing on there. Just have Corba. All right? The way that I look at this, that when you're actually doing your project, I don't care what you do, how you do it with, you can actually do some stuff with text only and make it look pretty decent. All right? But, it depends on what it is you're trying to promote. So when you are actually doing your project, all right, and if you're trying to sell something, you might want to try to get an image of what it is you're trying to sell and put that in there as a logo, as an example. All right, with the first year people, the book that I'm using this semester, I'm using 2 of them for the 157 class, and with the it's HTML5 foundations and CSS3 foundations. In the HTML5 foundations, they're doing a program or creating a site that's for just a mythical Joe's Pizza, and the logo just says Joe's Pizza CO on it for company. I think it would have been kind of nicer to have a little picture of a pizza or something. Again, it's all a matter of opinion. So what I'm saying is, when we go through this stuff that's in here right now, it's a 12-step process. So I'm going to walk you through it, and then I'm going to give you, and then then I'm going to give you the rest of the period to go in and take a look. So we're going to get to the middle of page 83. I'm going to walk you through about 6 or 7 pages right now. Then what you decide to do with that is up to you. I'm expecting you to be following along, but if you don't have a beautiful logo, if yours just says Corba, that's fine. I'm not that concerned with that right now. But I'd like you to eventually take the time that you either explore one of these or go out and just Google, basically free type of image manipulation software. All right? Yeah, you're right. You're right. I played with that too. I didn't like that. The one that and it might be just the one I used, but I grabbed one of the first ones and I played with it and tried to make it look, it was, no. Yeah. Well, as the old saying goes, sometimes you get what you pay for, right? But I'm sure if you checked out enough of them, you'd find out one that would at least be acceptable. All right? So, as it says, maybe you're happy with the template as it is, but now we're supposed to be working with the logo. So this is what they have you come in and do in here. All right? Notice that after you create that, they want you to come into the Template Manager Editor. I'm on step 2 here. And if you're following along, I'm on step 2 on page 81. In fact, I jumped ahead too far. Let me back up because I did go too far. All right. So they come through here now and they ask you, after we made the copy, they ask you to go through here and make the logo image. A nice thing about using a product like Paint is it's pretty easy to make something that's 270 by 90 like they show right there. All right, but most products it's fairly easy to do that. So again, they walk through the steps of doing this in Photoshop. I'm not going to run through those because I don't think it really pays when you don't have the software. But they create something that looks like that, and in Photoshop, when you see the gray checkerboard there, that means it's going to be transparent. All right, so really when you go and you show it on your screen, you're going to see these things in all their splendid color. All right, so they go through all the different steps in there, and then they say when you're done, save it as a PNG file. Then basically what they want you to do is to come back and add that in. All right, and the title will be Corba, the description will be Collectors of Really Bad Art. You go through this, pretty much this stuff worked the way that you'd expect it to work. All right, so what I'm going to ask is that you go through there between now and the end of the period, so you've got 40 minutes. Either make just a real cheesy logo that just has text on it, or go through there and use Paint or something else, one of the free manipulation programs, and try to create something. Go through the steps, all right? And again, then when you get done, they ask you to go through there, as it says, and tweak the design tools. So this shouldn't be a big step for any of you, because they're asking you to go through here, and where it says site description, they're asking you to change here the font color to silver, the font size to 14, the weight to bold, and add some padding. What that padding does, just so you know, if you create it and you follow either the steps that they mention, all right, if we had Photoshop, or if you follow, if you use something else, by default it'll look kind of like this. And I'm just telling you that the only thing that I am going to mention is that if you use their padding, what that is designed to do is to take that where it says Collectors of Really Bad Art and move it so the C in Collectors gets underneath the C in Corba. So if you follow their steps and you get done, it should look like this. Does that make sense? All right. Again, I'm not that concerned with that. With all the different stuff that we've got to do in this book, if our logo looks a little cheesy or whatever, I don't really care. All right. So they go through this, and then they talk a little bit about what CSS is. Again, I'm not going to do that. They mention there's another tutorial if you like that. And then the author says, hey, if you've gone through that, explore the different layout settings because you can work with that. All right. The only thing I do want to mention, and this is something we're going to cover much later in the book, it's like chapter 8 or something like that, that if I go out in Google and I type in here Joomla Templates, all right, you're going to notice that there's a lot of sites, but if I go over into Joomla Templates free, there's more than 4,000 free Joomla CMS templates. The only reason that I'm telling you that is when we get to the point where you're building your own site, it's nice for you to have your own creativity in it. I'm not saying that you should make a day out of it, pack a lunch and go through all 4,000 templates, but you might at least want to look through a few screens and see if there's something that's a little bit different. Maybe something that reflects your personality a little bit. You know what I'm saying? As opposed to just using the ProStar. So I'm going to expect that you're going to actually do something. All right? And notice they have responsive templates also. All right? So there's a lot of them in here. And I went and looked through one of these. I think the one I looked through was Rocket Theme, all right, because it sounded different. But I went through a couple of these. I think I went through Joomla Freak. And there's a lot of stuff in there. All right? And it's kind of important that you do this, because depending on the mood that Jeff gets in when he has to order books, we may do something very similar to this next semester in the Design and Implementation Projects class, because what I'm thinking of having you do right now, I don't want to bring up to you right now because it might freak some of you out, but I might again be teaching you several bits of software, and you might be creating a site that's got several different kinds of pages in it. What I'm trying to do again is to make you be as out there as you can be, and to show the fact that you can use a lot of different types of software, be it your own or built-in types, kind of pre-done types of software. All right, so again, premium and free Joomla templates. Notice when we did this, gee, there's only 9,440,000 results. All right, yeah, you can do that tonight. Travis will do that tonight. He'll go through it and he'll pick out one for everybody. So with the rest of the period, what I'd like you to do, and I'm going to do the same thing, I'm not going to leave it on here, but I am going to tape what I'm doing. All right, so I'm going to run through it myself so there won't be any sound. All right, but I'm going to jump through the stuff in the book on pages 76 on the bottom of the page. We're really starting at 77. So 77, 78, 79, 80, 81, 82, and the middle of page to the middle of page 83. When I get done, if I save this as a ping file or whatever, I'll put it out there on a folder with today's date on it. If you like mine better, use it. If you think, no, yours stinks, then don't use it. All right? I think, again, that you're going to get a lot more out of doing some of this stuff yourselves. All right, you're already finding out it's real easy for me to screw up. So again, we'll pick it up next time, and we're going to be on the bottom of page 83, step 2, adding content. I hope we get through all that stuff on Thursday. If we don't, we have to push ahead a little bit. That's fine. Oh, the other thing, just so you see this, I'll put it up on the screen. I didn't know this. Maybe you've already looked and you know it. You actually can go out and you can go and download Photoshop on a free 30-day version. So if you do want to follow these steps, you can go out to adobe.com/downloads. All right, but I just went out to answers.yahoo.com, and they mentioned a very good photo editing software available is Adobe Photoshop, but it's only a 30-day trial. It says a free alternative, the one they mentioned is GIMP, which I already mentioned to you. Okay, so I'm going to actually download it, play with that one. You can go out to YouTube yourselves and type in GIMP tutorials, and there's going to be, I don't know how many, but I know that, yeah. But again, by being able to say to somebody that you've used this stuff, if nothing else, you're making yourself a little bit more marketable. I just typed GIMP into YouTube, 981,000 hits. to stop this tape right here and start it up again after everything's been, the download's complete.